In this video, Jamie Laing shares his 5-step blueprint that enabled him to follow his dream and build Candy Kittens, a multi-million-dollar confectionery brand. Many of you watching this video have ambitious dreams but feel lost on where to start. You keep putting it off until you miss the opportunity, getting trapped in a meaningless job for the rest of your life. But imagine pursuing your purpose, waking up to do what you love, earning on your terms, and giving back to those who supported you. By the end of this video, you'll gain the clarity and confidence to bring your dream to life, just as Jamie did. So Jamie, what are we going to cover today?
Okay, so we're going to cover 5 points. We're going to talk about the idea. We're going to talk about marketing. We're then going to go into manufacturing. We're then going to talk about money, which is very important. Then we're going to talk about distribution.
All right, let's get into it. So Jamie, where are we going to start? I think it's have an idea. Shall we start there? Right.
Well, I started with your idea, right? Which is you always go up to every single person and say, what's your dream, right? That's the most important thing. Because everyone should have a dream. For me, it'd start with an idea, but an idea that you're passionate about. I heard a great quote, which is basically, business is paid in 2 currencies, cash and experience. Take the experience first and the cash come later. Don't do something just because you want to make money. If you just want to make money, it's never going to succeed. Do something because you're passionate about it. So find your passion, find an idea that you really love, because building that business is going to be tricky, and then follow that. Follow your passion.
How did you know that sweets was your passion? How do you translate passion into an executable idea? Because some people listening be like, okay, sweets are not my passion. How did that become your passion?
Well, true. So for me, what happened was, as a kid, I was scared of the dark. And my brother, Alexander, one of the smartest people I know, used to tell me stories of Jamie and Sweetwell to make me fall asleep at night. And being ADHD and all over the place, my parents didn't allow me to have any sweets. So I had this desperation of having sweets. So I used to go to bed dreaming of this world made of sweets. My parents sent me to boarding school, 8 years old. Crazy, mad decision to do that. Went to boarding school, and at night, obviously lying in bed, I was scared. I didn't really like it. So I used to distract myself. I used to go to this world made of sweets, Jamie's Sweet World. So I always had this fascination of sweets. And because I was denied the sweets, plus the combination of this dream, this idea of this world made of sweets, when I was 21 years old at university, I said, right, I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to go and make a sweet company.
You made it. I'm in your office full of like sweets. There's people and sweets everywhere.
Yeah, it's true. But also, I think the biggest thing is, and we spoke about this before, which is, again, Woody Allen said it best, is 50% of success is just turning up. Right. You just got to start doing something. Right. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're passionate about it, just start doing it. It may be, I don't know, making movies. It may be selling sweets. It may be selling plants, whatever it is. Go, just start doing it. As soon as you start doing it, you get a feel for it. And that's exactly what we did with Candy Kittens.
I love it. I think what I sometimes translate what you're saying, because people want to hear passion, and I don't know what my passions are. It can also be your pain, that childhood trauma. Same for me. I'm helping people for free today. I'm giving people money for free. I'm giving them free knowledge for free. And I hope, because 15-year-old me didn't have that. I'm tapping into that pain. It can be very powerful, very, very big motivator, right?
Yeah,
that joy,
totally. And I think, I think that is the hardest thing to discover, especially when you say, so what is your passion? What is your idea? People think that they got to have one, they got to find it. But actually it's true. When you look in the places which aren't so obvious, that's normally when you find stuff. And it does sometimes come from pain. I completely agree with you.
So okay, let's talk through step 1, idea. So people got a purpose, they've got passion. Let's say they've managed to do that. I actually think another hack, by the way, is to hang out with people that have got passion and purpose, because you see it in the work. So if someone comes to work for you, I'm sure it's like a transfer of energy, right? I feel it just coming here, by the way. I want to open up a sweet brand, just by being here, that transfer of passion, I think, could be another way for people to find purpose. Go work with people that have it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look, it's contagious. When you hang out with people that are working or feeling or doing a certain way, I think it's completely contagious. And that's why it's so important to really, your friends really replicate what you become. So you want to surround yourself with great people who are inspirational, who you do admire, who have great ideas, who are passionate, because then you're right, it sort of seeps off to them onto you. So I think that's a really good thing.
Have you had a mentor or anybody along those sorts of lines?
Yeah, I did. Very lucky. I had, so when I was 21, 22 at the time, setting up Candy Kittens, and we had no idea what we were doing. And I think the big misconception is that you know what you're doing. No. We had no clue what we were doing. Try and Google how to make sweets. Nothing comes up.
Well, now this will come up, but yeah.
Now this will come up. But no idea whatsoever.
Right.
So we had to discover what to do. And so actually, look, I was in a different position, right, where I knew that I had to find a way to market this idea. So I was given a television show, which was called Made in Chelsea. Don't know if you saw it, anyone saw it, but it was called Made in Chelsea, a reality show.
I was living in Hong Kong when that show was on. So it didn't air in Hong Kong, but I came back and heard about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people heard about it. the reason why I did one of the reasons was because I wanted to market this idea of candy kittens on the show.
Oh wow! So you went on the show to soft sell your own thing.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do it, and then I thought, well, maybe if I go on and I can talk about the sweet company that I want to create, maybe this is a good idea. It's a different way to market the idea. So I marketed the idea, but when we launched the business and I was talking about candy kittens on the show, and people going, well, this is a sweet company. We didn't have any sweets. It takes 1.5 years to make sweets. Plus, you have to go and find a manufacturer, all these different things. So I created a brand, but it was just a ghost. So we sold T-shirts.
Oh, right.
Just saying I'm a candy kitten. That's what we did. So, yeah, for me, it was just about getting started and just putting the brand out there the whole time.
That's actually a brilliant framework, by the way. So again, we got the idea. We've said idea, right? I'm also really bad at spelling. But then now we're talking about, instead we're actually talking about marketing now for a second, because I think you touched on something that is very exciting. People, if you have an vision for a business idea, it doesn't have to be what you launch with. So what you're talking about there, I think like T-shirts, you can make one and sell one. And it's actually, you can do print on demand. It's pretty easy. And then that can build the brand. But you have the vision that one day it will be a sweets brand, but that can start the initial buzz about the product, right? Marketing wise, what else did you do in those early years? I mean, apart from going on a TV show, which I didn't know you did that. I actually think that's real deep planning, right? To actually, give yourself that, I guess, that time in something completely different, a TV show, to build up your brand, to allow you eventually to promote sweet company.
Yeah, well, I also always think that and I thought about this from sort of a very young age, that I knew that, there's a really great quote, which is why fit and when we're born to stand out. So I kind of knew that idea when I was going into sort of this sweet idea. I knew that I just couldn't follow the same route as what Haribo, Maynard's, Roundtree's, all the other sweet companies were doing. I knew I had to be different. So I thought promoting it on a TV show would make it different and exciting and make it personal. I think what's so important is when a brand has a story behind it, makes it authentic and real, and people really connect with it. So that's what I did. I met an amazing guy, which you'll know is Roy Sutherland. Roy Sutherland.
He's been on this podcast.
Has he?
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Unbelievable. I think the podcast was actually 6 hours long. And we had to somehow get it into an hour.
He's amazing.
It was like we could sit and listen to his stories all day long. Yeah.
He's brilliant. Rory told me a great thing. He said, look, if you're parking a car or flying a plane, it's a great thing to follow logic because it gets you back in the same place as everybody else, a safe place. If you're setting up a business or setting up a brand, never follow logic because it gets you back in the same place as everybody else, a place where you don't want to be. You always want to go against the grain. And so at the very beginning with Candy Kittens, from a marketing perspective, we always did things differently. I went on a TV show. No one was doing that. It was marketing on a TV show. We made packets of sweets that were sexy, fun, different, and exciting. No one was doing that. All the packets of sweets had farm animals on it and aimed towards kids. But everyone eats sweets. I was 21, 22. I was eating sweets at the time. We made them gluten-free. No other sweet company was making them gluten-free. And then we liked this idea of vegan. This whole word around vegan was coming up. And I thought, well, this would be a great idea. So we tried to remove all the gelatin from the sweets and make the best sweet possible. A sweet that didn't damage your teeth. That was the idea behind it. So we tried to remove all the nasties. So we thought, what can we do that no one else is doing in the market? What can we do that's differently to make our sweets stand out? And that's what we were always doing. So we sold T-shirts, we did pop-up shops, I went on a TV show. We're doing all of these things differently.
And at what point did you get the sweets sorted out? Was that so? I guess now when we're talking about marketing, but now we're talking about, let's say, manufacturing for a minute. How did you get that side of it sorted out? Because a lot of people look for to make stuff and they don't know where to go or how to do it. How did you get it done?
Yeah, again, it's one of those things which you just got to start doing it. Manufacturing is one of the hardest things to get right. So I think for us, we went to a sweet convention. We went to one in Cologne in Germany. We turned up there. Again, we're 22 years old. We had no idea. We bought a ticket to this thing called an ISM, which is, as you imagine, it's like the Hamleys of sweet shops. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's just full of all these sweets. And we went there. We went walking around and we tried all these different gummy sweets all around the place. And we thought these are delicious. And we spoke to every single sort of manufacturer there. And they said, okay, great. We can possibly talk about making your sweets, but our minimum order is 100,000 tons of sweets or 500,000 tons of sweets. That is so many sweets, you can't imagine. And they have a sell-by date. So you have to sell them within 18 months, otherwise they're off. That was the real problem with it. So we went from one sort of place to the next, to the next, to the next, and everyone was kind of saying no. It's kind of the equivalent of going to sort of Toyota or Ford or Tesla and saying, can you make me a car? And they're going, okay, sure, but what are you going to do for us? So we finally came across a Spanish company who were a family-run company, and one of the people working on the store was a fan of the show. And they said, yeah, we can maybe talk about this and help you make your sweets. What is your idea? I said, we have this idea of candy kittens. We want to make them gluten-free. We want to make them sexy. We want to make them young. We want to make the flavors completely different. And they took a punt on us. And they said, okay, great. Well, let's talk about it.
Amazing.
And slowly by slowly, we built a relationship with the manufacturing. The sweets at the beginning were so bad. They were shocking. In every single way, the flavors weren't good. The drying process of the sweets was bad. We had to find out every single thing about making a good sweet. You know, a good sweet is defined by the age of the starch.
Oh, really?
How are we meant to know that? So there were so many things we had to go through. But when I think about manufacturing, it's about going to the right places, speaking to the right people. And the one thing is never taking no for an answer. Just constantly knocking on that door. Keep asking, hey, we're still here. We're still here. We're still here. We met a company there called Catches, Katjes. They're the best in the world at making sweets. Third generation founder, a guy called Bastian Fassin, amazing guy. We met him. We said, can you make our sweets for us? Because we knew they were the best. He said, no, can't do it. We don't make sweets for anyone. 7 years later, he came back to us and said, well, I'll make your sweets for you now. Wow. And now we've partnered with them and they make our sweets.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the persistence thing is so key. You want luck in life, be persistent.
100%.
You just do not give up. And I think you're also highlighting something around pitching a story, a bigger picture later. Work with us now, start small and together we can grow. And I think a lot of people like that. So I think that's a really important lesson.
I think being persistent is one of the most important things. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you want to run a 5K under 20 minutes, you have to be persistent. You have to keep training, keep doing it. You're going to fail at the beginning, but keep going. You fancy the guy or the girl and you really want to date them. You got to keep, hey, I want to take you on a date. I really like you. You got to keep doing it. Be persistent in these places.
By the way, it's slowly turning into a dating channel.
Well,
everyone I've been interviewing lately seems to give dating analogies.
It's true.
But and you got to say hello to a lot of people, right? Same sort of.
And you've got to be rejected. You know, one of the biggest moments of my life is that when growing up, I was like, oh, why don't I do that? I was sitting on the rocks in Cornwall with a girl that I really fancied. And I must have been about 15 years old at the time, 14 years old at the time, and I really fancied her.
Your wife will be listening to this.
I know she will, but it's okay. I fancy my wife much more, but it was when I was 14, 15, and I really fancied this girl, and we're sitting on the rocks, and there was this moment when we were sitting there, and I didn't kiss her because I was scared of rejection. Oh, no. I was scared what she was going to say. I was scared that, oh God, if I kiss and leave, what's going to happen? So I didn't kiss her, but I really fancied her. Anyway, 2 years later, I saw her again and she said, do you remember that moment in the rocks where she'd kissed me?
Oh no.
And I was like, what? If you put yourself in those situations where you feel vulnerable, where you feel like rejection is going to happen, those are the times when you actually win.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Oh my God, I've got some great news, guys. Thanks to you and your support of this channel and what we do, this book just became the #1 book on the Sunday Times bestseller list. #1, because you bought it and you supported our mission to fund people's dreams and help people do what they love. You can now go review it on Amazon. If you enjoyed the book, go review it. The link's down below. It will make a hell of a difference. Thank you so much for supporting what we're doing. Let's get back to the video. People listening might be thinking, okay, money. Let's say, so the people have said yes to the sweets. Yeah. You've got the vision. Tell us how the money side of all this worked.
Look, money is unfortunately it's the most boring but most important thing. Money is oxygen. It helps you breathe. That's the main thing. And look, it's like a riddle. Everyone has money in their pockets. It's just about finding a way of getting the money from their pockets into your pocket. And how can you do that? Sell them the idea, sell them the dream, sell them your vision. And for us with money, we actually started with about £3,000. I, at the time, was doing the television show. I was being paid a little bit of money from that. Any money that I was making from the television show, I was putting straight into the business. Straight away. It would go from being paid straight into the business. And I and my business partner, a guy called Ed, who's here, we risked everything. And I think that is the main thing when it comes to starting a business, is that if you really want to make it a success, you kind of have to go all in. Mm-hmm. You can't be half-hearted. You have to go all in. But in terms of raising money, ask friends, ask parents, ask cousins, ask boyfriends, ask anyone. Explain your idea, explain your dream, sit them down, pitch them your idea, show them, make it a really serious thing. There are angel investors out there. There are investors out there. There are funds. There are different government schemes. There are so many opportunities out there where money is available. There is so much money in the world. You have just got to get people to believe in your dream. And do that by knocking on doors. When you started your gardening company at the very beginning, you just went and knocked on doors.
Totally.
Just keep knocking on doors, keep asking, and eventually you'll get it.
Yeah. I live in Belsize Park. Frankly, you knock on anyone's door there, they've got some money to invest in your business. Actually start knocking on everybody's door in Hampstead and Belsize Park.
Go to West London.
Totally.
Go to West London and knock on people's doors.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. It will be a different... No one will be expecting it, will they? Have a flood of people now going around North London. Okay, so but money itself, just quickly for people to understand, like, did you have to sell equity in the business? Did you start off with angels and then... you got a VC, or did you any quick cycle there?
Quick cycle that we had was so I invested the initial cash, about £3,000. That basically bought us some T-shirts that we could sell. We sold T-shirts, and from selling those T-shirts, we made about £25,000. We used that £25,000 to then start to go and invest into like trying to make a suite. That £25,000 was eaten up pretty quickly in terms of like developing a suite and everything like that. So we quickly realized that we needed to go and find some cash. So I went for dinner one night with a great friend of mine. He's called Rob. And his uncle came for dinner with us. And his uncle was a successful business owner. He still is. Great guy called Chris. And I sat with him. I was 22 and we sat in a restaurant and we drank espresso martinis. Don't know if you've heard of an espresso martini.
I've heard of them.
Okay. They're pretty alcoholic and there's a lot of coffee in them. So I was pretty revved up and I pitched this guy called Chris my business idea, this idea of a world made of sweets. I was a kid, I was scared of the dark. And, then I went to boarding school and I hated it. I used to go to this world and then I wanted these sweets and I left university and I joined this TV show and I think it's, did my whole pitch to him. And he said, I like it. I think it's great. And I said, well, you like the business? And he went, no, I don't like the business. I like you. I like you. And I think the biggest misconception a lot of the time is that when you go to someone who potentially may be an investor, you can have an idea that is great. If you're not changing the world, if you're not turning, soil into oxygen or whatever it is, they're investing as you as an individual, right? And so you're the person they're investing in. He invested in me. And at the end of the dinner, he said, I think I've just bought £150,000 worth of sweets.
Nice.
And I went, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Next day, I phoned him up and said, Chris, did you really mean that? And he said, yeah, what's your account details? He sent the money in.
That's crazy.
We didn't even have to sign any contract or anything with him at the time. He just totally trusted me. And then he was one of our main investors from the very beginning and being a great partner.
That's absolutely brilliant.
But a lot of people would say, okay, it's lucky you knew someone who had money and you knew
someone that knew someone that had money, to be honest.
Totally.
Yeah. And everyone knows someone that knows someone that's got money.
And he was probably the 10th person that I had asked.
Totally.
Right? It was just, I kept asking. And I think that's the main thing is that's why you have to be so passionate about it, because if you don't have the passion, then it dies.
Money is such an important sticking block for people.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing I want people to remember this. It is about you, the story. But you know what? When it comes to marketing the sweets as well, it's also you.
Yeah.
But it's the story that people resonate with. If you look on social media right now, it's personal brands that are winning over company brands. And so the Kardashians launch a product, everyone buys it. I think that's the future. Actually, I think it's become much more personal for people. They want to know the source of the material.
Yeah.
They want to know the person that's behind the story to make sure their data is not being leaked or that the product really is genuinely what these marketing people say that it is, right? So people are looking to people now, right? So if someone's listening to this, if they understand that, it's you pitching. Even if your idea, I've had an idea that's shit, that actually is shit, and someone invested in it. Because they like me and they're like, Simon, that's pretty shit, but you're going to make it work eventually. So,
well, I agree with you. Look at it like, okay, you know how to cook bolognese, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, kind of, but you kind of do, right?
Yeah,
I know how to cook bolognese.
Okay, good to know.
If you said to me, okay, the way that I cook bolognese is I go to the supermarket, I get the meat, and then I get the pasta, and I put the meat, and I just turn it around, and then I boil the pasta, and there you go, and I serve it to you. You go, okay, that's cool. If I said, do you know what I do? I go to an organic farm and I go and get the meat. It's all organic. And I go and I roll the pasta myself and I make the pasta. And then I go and pick some basil leaves from a branch outside. And then I cook the bolognese, but I cook it for about 4 hours. And I leave it on the stove and I really cook it. And then with the pasta, once I've rolled the pasta, I put it in. And then I set this amazing table for you. If I sell bolognese,
I want it.
You want that bolognese over
totally,
me. Yeah. So we all have the same ideas. We all have similar ideas of selling sweets or doing podcasts or selling telephones, whatever it is. It's the way you package it.
Yeah,
it's the way you sell it. And if you're more passionate about it, then I think people are more inclined to invest in you, the individual.
So we've sorted out money. But I just want to now talk a little bit about like how to get the product, on the shelves. I mean, you've done a brilliant job on the distribution of your product. I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was actually in Waitrose the other day and I was looking at the sweets because I knew I was coming to see you. And these kids walked by us and went, "That's Jamie's sweets." Right? So it's almost like they're your sweets. You sort of like, and they picked them up. "Oh yeah, Jamie Laing sweets." But how did you get the distribution? How did you do that part?
Look, it's one of the hardest things in the world. The issue with retailers, right, is that so we had the marketing, we had the idea, we had the money, we had all the things, and I was obviously on a television show at the time marketing the product, right? I was marketing this idea of candy kittens. Retailers don't care if you are the king of England. They just want to know that the product will sell and it has longevity. That's what they care about. So for us, the hardest thing that we had to do was to get retailers on board with us. Every retailer rejected us. Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Asda, every single person was rejecting us. And I go back to the same thing. We just never took no as an answer. Mm-hmm. We just kept knocking on the doors. We just kept turning up. We just kept sending samples to Waitrose, to Sainsbury's, to different places. And finally, what happened was Waitrose said yes to us. They gave us 100 stores across the country and said, "Fine, we'll give you a chance. We'll take your sweets." But it took about 2 years to do it. And the only thing that I can say to anyone who's trying to get into retailers is just never take no for an answer. Mm. You've just got to keep knocking down that door. Mm. Just keep doing it. And that's what we did.
Mm. And so wrapping up, if you were to go back to the younger you and give one bit of advice at the beginning of all this stuff, anything other than the persistence thing, which is, of course, very important.
Wow. One piece of advice. It's boring, but I would say patience. Mm. I think when we're young and we're hungry and we're excited, we want things to happen now. Well, I definitely did. I wanted it to happen straight away. It takes much longer than you expect. Mm-hmm. And so be patient with it and make sure that you are just going to be patient and persistent and wake up every single day and just knowing that you're going to go for that one thing. And for me, I think patience was the biggest thing I had to learn.
You heard it here, folks. So normally at the end of these videos, we'll say, "Thank you for listening. We're now off to have some chicken." But today we're going to say something different. We're off to have some candy kittens. See you later.
Check out our new membership subscription for exclusive content and much more. Link in the description.